Evolution is an attempt to explain life through observation. A model built to make sense of how complex organisms come to exist. At its core, evolution is the idea that populations change over time through variation and selection, eventually producing the diversity of life we see today. On the surface, this makes sense. Organisms that are better suited to their environment survive, reproduce, and pass on their traits. Over generations, those traits become more common. But this raises a deeper question. Where do these traits come from in the first place? The answer given is mutation. Random changes in DNA that introduce variation. Natural selection that filters what works and what doesn't. Fair enough. But when you look closer, the explanation starts to feel less complete. Because we're not just talking about small variations. We're talking about highly coordinated systems. The eye, the brain, the nervous system. Structures where multiple parts have to work together to function at all. So the question isn't whether change happens. It's whether random mutation, even when filtered through natural selection, is enough to account for this level of organized complexity. How do independent changes line up in a way that produces something functional? How does raw variation turn into structured information? And beyond biology, what about consciousness, awareness, instinct? The things that don't just function but experience. You could say that given enough time, these processes could produce anything. And maybe that's true. But given enough time starts to sound less like an explanation and more like a placeholder for what we don't fully understand. Some people propose an alternative. That intelligence, like divine intelligence, not randomness, plays a role in shaping life. Not necessarily in a way we can directly observe, but as an underlying force guiding complexity. And while that idea is often dismissed, it raises an important point. Our understanding of life comes entirely from observation and inference. We build models based on what we can measure, but what about what we can't? The scientific method is powerful, but it has limits. It works best on things that can be tested, repeated, and observed directly. When it comes to origins, complexity, and consciousness, those limits start to show. So maybe evolution explains more than we think, and maybe it explains less. But the deeper question remains. Are we discovering reality as it is? Or are we building models that approximate something far more complex than we can fully understand?